everybody, and welcome to We'd Rather Be Reading. We should put some Gaelic in there.
I don't speak Gaelic, but I'm Lia.
I'm Jerrica. Or I'm a Bonnie Lass.
You're a Bonnie Lass, and I am a... I've forgotten everything. What is the... Brilliant is the vagina. and the slap.
Slap
is this a slap or a slab or a slap?
I don't know. Sure. It's like there's definitely a G and an H and probably 4 other consonants in there.
And at least a few silent letters, of course, because Gaelic seems to take off the French that way. Yeah. We've, if you're wondering what the frick we're talking about, it's we've gone Scottish because we've read Rory in a Kilt. And we have also decided never again to drink and choose books because it turns out that Rory in the Kilt is not only book 3 in a series, it's alternative perspective book 3 in a series.
The fact that I only figured that out after we finished reading the book, where it was like, did you enjoy this? You could read on to the next story, 4th in the series. Yeah. Or if you've missed the original book that was written in her perspective. And I was like, well, that explains a lot.
But in all honesty, though, I don't think I could have taken this book from Emery's perspective.
I liked Emery.
I liked Emery
too. Bright.
But I only suffered through this book because it was Rory's perspective, because... at least I understood where he was coming from. I think if I would have had Rory being the way he is in her perspective, I would have been like, fuck it, girl, you can do so much better. Leave.
No, I agree. Mm-hmm. But the book we're talking about is called Rory in a Kilt, and it is the 3rd and alternate perspective of this series, and all of the series is on Storytel. So if you want to start from book 1, or 2, or 3, or but alternate perspective 3.
Spoiler alert, it's about Scottish men getting American wives, which all of them get American wives, which I was like, really?
Except,
really?
I was going to continue book 3, different perspective, book 4, different perspective, book 5, book 6, book 7, and the 2 sisters are involved in it, and the sisters end up with British boyfriends and not American ones. So the men choose American women, and the women choose British men. And
all right. What's wrong with Scottish people? I'm just wondering, are there no good Scottish women or Scottish men available for Scottish people? I mean, not that you can choose outside. I mean, clearly we did. We're like, screw this. The people in this country are not good enough for me. So we went for
we went for all the differentness. Yeah. No, my best friend from Canada, she is half Italian, and I don't think you could consider half Canadian, because it's not really like a heritage, it's just a place you get born in. Anyways, she's Italian-Canadian, and she married a Scottish guy, so they are outsourcing also.
Fair enough.
But he has 3 sisters, and they're amazing and actually very beautiful, and they're Scottish from Edinburgh also. So
do they have Scottish men?
No. One definitely has a German guy. Then I'm not sure if it's a Scottish or English.
So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that if you live in Scotland, you cannot marry someone from Scotland.
Okay, outsource whether you're male or female.
I've learned this from a book, so clearly it's got to be true. This book, Rory in a Kilt, which I think we chose because it's got a sexy cover, and it's called Rory in a Kilt. And when we were drunk, this seemed like an excellent idea. What can I say?
And it's also excellent because my best friend's Scottish husband's name is Rory.
Yep.
And he wore a kilt at their wedding.
He wore a kilt, of course he did.
When I told her about this book, she was like, please tell me you're not picturing my husband as the character in this book. And I was like,
all the time.
No.
Sure. The whole time.
No. This book is about Rory. He is a very bitter older man, 3 times divorced.
Don't call him older. He's my age.
But he's not like in his 20s.
He's 39. He's my age. Okay? Let's not call him older here. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Rory in a Kilt is written by Anna Durand, which I lived on Don Durand Street in Montreal, and anything with Durand, I'm like, yeah, that's street, but which is just stupid. She's a best-selling, multi-award-winning author of contemporary and paranormal romance. So she has paranormal romance. We should look her books up. Her books have earned bestseller status on every major retailer and wonderful reviews from readers around the world.
Definitely.
Okay, so this cover. Let's talk about this cover.
Yeah.
This was the reason we chose this book.
Like a couple glasses of wine in. This cover
it's got no abs, but it's got a back.
And I love some back muscle. Arm muscle,
I'm not sure if
muscle.
it's very muscly. It's just kind of...
No, look at the muscles down to his ass.
Oh, that,
where they like peak at the back and then that ass is going to be tight as hell. That is one hell of a cover. That man's got some muscles in the front too.
And he's got a kilt on. And there's his
abs.
castle there in the background. Because Rory lives in a castle.
Yes.
So, this book, we read this book right after the Book Boyfriend one, but before that we read a couple of books with fake marriages, and this one is also a fake marriage book. Like, when I first started this book, I was like, oh my god, I think I messaged you like a chapter, and I'm like, I don't think I can do it.
Yeah.
It basically starts with Rory being in New Orleans, spotting this girl, he doesn't even know her name, and he just picks her up. She carries her cash in her bra, and this is important.
Classy.
And he takes her home, and he has sex with her, and he tries real hard not to learn her name. And then he leaves, because she won't leave. So he's like, fuck, I'm going to have to evacuate this hotel room now, because she's not gone after sex.
She's sleeping.
So he goes for like this walk, and then he comes back, and she's still there. And he's like, what the fuck? And then he has to learn her name. And this is something he doesn't want to do. Rory is a bit of an ass there in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then once he learns her name, the next thing he's like, oh yeah, let's get married. And I'm like, I took a little bit of a turn.
Yeah.
So then she and the girl, Emery, we find out her name is Emery. She's American. She's on this little trip to New Orleans because she's got laid off from her job or something to that effect. And she's all like, sure, I'll marry this Scottish dude. This sounds great. Let's do it.
Yeah. It was a bit questionable.
Yeah. And honestly, I think you have more notes than me because I'm almost out of my notes already.
A gazillion notes. Mostly because first you called me to say, I don't think we could read this book. It's ridiculous. Yep. There's just all of the section scenes within the first 30 seconds. Yeah. And you were like, stop what you're doing and listen to the first 10 minutes. And I had friends over and we were sitting having like appetizers and stuff. And I'm like, hold on, guys. Leah told me I just need to pop my AirPod in and I'll be real quick. So then I become an invisible human being sitting at the table with them, but like fully listening to like the most Scottish sex scene I ever could imagine in my life. And I message you and I'm like, I just became a shell of a human trying not to make any facial expressions due what is happening in these first 10 minutes. Yeah. And so it was touch and go there for a minute.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you know what? It's not so bad. I also didn't mind his accent at the very, very beginning. And then
we got a crash course in Gaelic here. Like
100%. There is so much Gaelic in this book.
Oh, yes.
And so then around an hour and a half in, we find out that this is going to end up in a marriage. Yeah. And I was like, oh, Leah, you're going to fucking hate this book. We just got to stop it. Like, I've invested an hour and a half, but I don't think you're going to want to go further. You're going to be all like, feminism, I don't need no man kind of shit about this book, so I don't want
Is this how you think of this?
I honestly think about how you're going to think about all the time. I'm like, okay, put on my super thick feminism glasses, and now I am Leah. What can I be offended by?
Which is so
I can be offended by
like
everything.
The least feminist person I know for like the longest time.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Now you get like uproared for things.
Yeah, this morning I overheard my husband and my son talking, and they were talking about this freaking comic strip or something or other, and my husband reads it out and is like, I've only ever met one woman who wasn't a bitch. Oh, what happened then? This other guy says, and he's like, oh, I killed her because she didn't live up to my expectation. I'm like, this is awful. This happens in real life so much. I'm like, incels and this, you know.
Happens in real life?
But it does. Incels and all of this. Like, people killing women for not being the way they want them to be. Okay. This happens all the time. So I get, like, really outraged. My husband's like, it's sarcastic. It's, you know, it's this really deep cut thing. And I'm like, I don't care. This is terrible. You don't talk to our son about it. So, yeah, I guess I have become a feminist. But when it came to Rory and a kilt, I was okay with the story.
This is hilarious that you were okay with this story, because I was like, stopped so many times thinking, I can't invest 8 more hours or 10 more hours into this book. Leah's not even going to get past the first hour of it. And then when you started reading it or listening to it, you're like, no, I like it. I'm like, what the fuck has happened?
Well, what happened was that for the beginning being as shitty as it was, with her not wanting to learn her name and then jumping straight into marriage, and then all of his fucking rules, like, it is ridiculous. That man has so many rules for himself. Emery, through all of this, was very much a feminist, I would say. Yeah. Because she was like, yeah, I can marry this guy. And basically what he says is, marry me for a year. It'll be a fake marriage, but, you know, you need to sleep with me twice a week and all of this and that. He has all these weird rules for her. And then at the end of it, we'll get divorced and you get like $500,000 or something to that effect. But she doesn't actually do it for the money. And at no point he's like, you will have access to all my money when we're married. And she never takes any of it. Like, she's very independent and she's doing it because she feels like it. And throughout this whole thing, they actually fall in love and all of that. And Rory, I get where he's coming from, because he's been married 3 times before. Yeah. And it's ended badly every single time, because the wife was either gay or cheated on him or didn't really want to marry him in the first place. Yeah. There's all of these reasons. So he's been like severely burnt, where he tried to put himself out there, got burned real bad, and now he just wants his family to get off his case. They're a really tight-knit family. And Emery, she's so different from anything he would have chosen that he's like, there's no way I'll be able to fall in love with her. She's so different from every other wife that I wanted to take. And I will not fall into the traps with her, without realizing, obviously, like trope central, that of course she's everything he needs. And it didn't work out with the other women because they were not freaking Emery and they were not like her. And for at least, I'd say, this was a long-ass book, and for at least 8 hours of it, I was on board with the story, and I was like, this is going to end up great, and he's just damaged, and Emery will get to him, and she was so understanding. But then, towards the end, and I'm like, I could fix him, you know, all of that. But then towards the end, I was like, I thought I could fix him. But Emery is a fucking saint. Like, I would have killed Rory if he treated me like that. Like, I would not have put up with so much of the shit, like, in the beginning maybe, but then I would have, oh my god, any emotion, he runs away. He refuses to sleep in the same room as her. He puts all of these rules on her. He gets so possessive and weird, and then distancing himself. And when he shows off with his throwing of his logs, shit.
It's hilarious. He throws the tree log, like an entire tree.
Preening for her, showing off, like wearing his kilt and his no shirt, and like chucking his
they do the Highland Games at the property. Okay, let me give you a little backstory on Rory, and then I'm going to start ranting, and then I'm also going to tell you all of the notes that I wrote.
Yeah, please do. Please do. I'm going to be quiet now.
So, back to Rory being a little bit older. He's 39, and this is the
I still MC. Take offense to you calling him older.
But considering the other books that we read where they're like in their 20s having their first love, this guy has already been married 3 times.
Let's call him experienced.
Okay. An experienced man who's a lawyer, and he gets his money from his own self, not just from the family, because as far as we know from so far in this book, he's the only one with a castle. Later on, we find out there's another one with a castle also. Mm-hmm. But so
did you keep reading the series?
No, but I read about the next one.
All right, I was like, did I miss something? Were we supposed to read the next one too?
No.
Okay, all right.
No, they're too long. So he has a castle, and he has like a nanny and a caretaker of the house and stuff like that. And he goes to America for some conference and meets this girl. Now, he tells her, let's get married. What do you think? I'm going to give you $500K to be married with me, with me for a year, because the sex is good.
Yeah.
But the purpose of him proposing marriage was that so his parents get off of his back and stop trying to shove single eligible women onto him.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that's a good enough reason to be married to somebody. Also because what's 1 year?
Yeah.
It's
like you gotta break that up, and
your
then
parents would set you up on like 4 dates a year or something like that.
And
so
then, yeah,
so you
after
skip
this,
having 4 dates. It doesn't make sense to me why you would invest in a marriage just to get your parents off your back. Plus, your parents are going to be way more on your back for having a fucking surprise wife come home to Scotland with you. They're going to be like, oh, tell me about yourself, and like, let's go to lunch and have some tea. Like, there is way more parental involvement with a surprise wife than it would be with just a couple dates. So I did not get that. That didn't make sense to me. But
Nope.
when he marries her, first date, okay, this is when I start to get annoyed with him, and I would have walked out already. They have sex first night, then they wake up in the morning and she wants to have a bath, and he won't have sex with her because it's the daytime.
Yep.
And she's like, what a fucking weird rule. And like, she's a little intrigued by this like nonsensical rule because she thinks he's like a womanizer, basically, because he sleeps with her without even knowing her name, but he won't sleep with her when the sun is out.
Or when it's not in the bedroom.
Or when it's not on a bed. So it needs to be on a bed in the darkness. And of the night. And she is not allowed to have any control in bed either. It's a very strange rules that he has. So first of all, the no daytime sex, I would be like, okay, see you later. I'm out of this.
Yeah.
And then during their discussion about when they're getting married, he thinks that she's a clever lass because she figures out while he's speaking Gaelic that doki means penis.
Doki means penis?
And he was like, that's my clever lass. Like, what? How does that make her clever? Okay, then he fucks girls without knowing their names, but he won't have sex in the day. That is my biggest no-no. He wants to get married to get his parents off his back, but instead, of course, they're more on the new wife. Yep. He doesn't want to say making love, that's what it is. Yeah. He won't say making love, but he refers to her as my wife all the time.
Yeah.
Like, even in his own personal thoughts, he calls her my wife.
Yeah.
But he will not say making love because the love word is in there. Yeah. But the wife word is okay.
But wife is a bad word in his mind from all of his other wives.
The contradictions continue. He has never let anyone touch him there.
No. Was it the blowjob?
AKA blowjob.
Yeah. That one blew me.
Yeah, he's been married 3 times. She's been married 3 times. She never got a blowjob.
But he got married to a gay woman.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. He was married to 2 other women, and he was married once for 5 years.
And he has had no-name sex before, because at least once before.
And then he's concerned that he's going to lose control during sex all the time. Yeah. And I'm like, and that's why he won't let people give him head, because he's afraid to lose control. And I'm like, lose control like what? Come? Fuck her face? This guy has issues. Like, these are things that happen when you give somebody a blowjob. Like, it is kind of hot when somebody takes control of that situation, too, if it's consensual, of course. But how are you going to lose control with your dick in somebody's mouth? I don't get it. I can't. I need to gavel, put my hand down on the table. This doesn't make any sense to me.
All of the hang-ups. And then, like, when they're outside and they're on the grass and he's like, I would take her here. But it's outside.
And then the sunlight is up. We cannot have sex in the sun. Oh my God.
It's like a vampire.
Except he does everything in Gaelic. And then so we need to have translations for everything too.
Yeah.
But I actually think it's hilarious how she tries to get him to have sex in the day in the lawn. That time on the lawn. And she's like, okay, now I'm going to do it. Now he's...
But then when they have sex in his office, he's like... Oh, I will never look at this
table again. The same way.
But he's so stuck up.
But I think a little bit I was concerned with how much she wanted to be his therapist. Like, what gives you the right to try to change him so much?
Honestly, I had issues with Emery in a way. Like, and this is why I think I could not have listened to her side of the story. Because when I read the description of it, it's like Emery just wants to have sex and have fun. That's all she wants to do. And then she goes like with him for this marriage thing, and she tries to like fix all of his issues and sleep with him as much as she can. But she's like, I don't know, like I would not have been okay being in her head when he fucks her and then like instead of holding her, just freaking gets up and walks back to his room and locks the door. Like, he locks her out of his bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, there, I would have been like, so I have to be available for you to fuck whenever you want, and then right after you're just gonna go out and lock yourself in your room where I'm not allowed. Like,
this is every night. This happens every single night. And I'm like,
this is so weird. Like, I would not be okay with that.
So he has one bitchy ex, one middle ex who cheated and left for another man, and one lesbian ex. But he married them all for love, so he treats M like a live-in hooker because he treated them like wives, and it didn't end well. So he's just going to treat her like a live-in hooker. He's an ass. Like, he's just a pure ass at this point. Yeah. And he gets moody when everyone gets a hug but him. Yeah. Remember? And she hugs the family. But then he doesn't get a hug, and he's being a baby, and then she upgrades his hug to a cuddle by putting his her head on his shoulder, and I actually thought I was very cute. Then he was like, "She better not do this to my brother," and it's like,
and he gets upset that she hangs out with the other American wives. I didn't like the American wives thing. Anyways, this book.
Rory has issues. If you want to listen to him getting through the issues with Sunshine.
Emery has issues as well.
Emery is a sunshine. She's going to get through anything no matter what because she's
she does not have enough freaking self-respect for herself. Like, in order to be okay with the asshole-ish things that Rory puts her through, you're going to be lacking some self-respect. Because, I mean, there's no way you can respect yourself and being treated like a hooker like that in someone's house. And the way he speaks to her, the way he leaves her all the time, the way he's moody around her, and what, we're just supposed to think this is fine? Like,
but she blows up on him, and she's sort of slow plays. Like, she has a lot of patience about it. She's like, I know that if I blow up on him right now, that it's not... that I'm not going to get through to him, so I need to wait until the time is right. So she has a lot of patience with that.
Yeah, I'm too much of a hothead for that. Like,
me too. I would have already been gone at the no sex in the day, so I would not have experienced any of this. I would never have even seen his castle.
For marriage? I'm like, fuck no, I'm not an escort.
I would have considered the money. I mean, let's be real, $500,000 in a year.
I can live in a castle in Scotland.
Live in a castle and you don't have to work for $500,000. It's a really nice paycheck. And then go on about your own life.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, though, not on the next day when I didn't even know his name and he wouldn't have sex with me in the daytime, I would not have continued to consider that. No. Because as soon as we pulled up to Scotland to this, like, old-timey castle, I would just assume this is the end of my life. I am now getting murdered in an old-timey Scottish castle.
We land and then you take them in a car and you drive away from the town to a castle, like an hour out. I would have been like, this is it. Have you seen The Tinder Swindler?
Yes.
Yeah. Horrible. I would not have gotten on that plane. And it's like, the Tinder swindler would not have swindled me, because if he went date 2, come on a private plane to a different country with me, I would have been like, fuck no. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. I'm not getting on a plane with you. How am I supposed to get home? If I don't like this date, where's my exit strategy? It would have been over there for me. Like, and then he would have been like, my enemies are after me. I would have been like, oh, that sucks for you, honey. Sorry. Bye. Best of luck.
Oh, the enemy thing, I would have said bye, for sure. And I need money because my enemies are after me. I'd be like, just sell the jet then. Sell the jet.
You have nice clothes and cars, and just sell them and give them to your enemies.
Actually, in the Tinder Swindler, the girl who sold all of his clothes, brilliant. She's the best part of that whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, she's still stupid enough to have given him money in the first place. So,
but at the end, all of the girls that are still with him today are stupid.
Yeah,
He's not attractive. I would have never even swiped right on that guy.
I still think that the Tinder Swindler and Inventing Anna, imagine those two together. They would have been trying to swindle each other. It would have been hilarious. I would have seen a show about that.
Yeah, I want them to.
So hilarious. Okay, that's off topic. And we were talking about Rory.
But would you recommend this book?
No. No, and there's this naked picture storyline that's in there too. Like, she had an ex-boyfriend who took pictures, and then there's like a private investigator trying to hunt him down for those pictures, and there's the journalist who has a thing for Rory, who's pissed off at him because Rory's a lawyer and he screwed him out of something.
Yeah, there's side story other than
there's
their
this
sex
side
life.
story, and I was like, I know these naked pictures are going to come back and haunt them, and they do.
Yeah.
But it's so stupid because if Rory wouldn't have sent the private investigator after the ex-boyfriend, the journalist wouldn't have gotten the picture in the first place. So it's all Rory's fault. Whatever.
But he's a lawyer, so he can make this go away with all of his money.
Recommend this book. I'm not even sure I would recommend the first narrative with Emery, because one, I haven't read it, so I can't speak for it. But it drove me insane.
Yeah.
Be like reading about Emery from Rory's perspective. It would drive me absolutely nuts to read about Rory from Emery's perspective. Him being all moody and not talking,
totally.
and just fucking and just walking away, and then being in her head. Like, I could not do it.
No, I couldn't do it. I would be so sad for her. I was already sad for her throughout this book. And even though I wouldn't recommend it, because I wouldn't even know what to tell people. Like, I would be like, you should read this book, but...
I would not recommend.
Even saying that, we both got pretty addicted to it. When
I mean, would I read it again? Probably not. But I would. I'm happy I read it in a way. But no, I don't think I would want to read it. Like, recommend it to anyone else. It would have to be like some hardcore romance fan in that case, where I would be like, read this hilarious Rory in a Kilt book, and if you want. Lots of weird, sexy times.
But I think it is good for that like genre and people who like these kinds of books. It's well written and it's like quirky and funny and also serious, and the sex is good too, even though there's so many sex corpse in it.
Did you see that book that JF found for us? Near His Comforting Nipple?
Yes. Tell me all about it. The fact that the book is about nipples, and the book have won an award.
He's won the award of outstanding achievement in nipple literature.
Nipple literature. I only want to read this to see what synonyms to nipples he has. Okay, tell me.
Daniel may have been the hottest construction worker that Deborah had hired to demolish her father's tomb, but he had exceptional nipples to look at. They were calming and comforting, especially in this time of stress when she must destroy everything that was her father's. Is something wrong? He caught her staring. It's my father's tomb, she sighed. It's so ugly. Don't worry, miss. We'll destroy it. But his confidence did not reassure her. She was on the verge of tears. He opened his arms and she embraced him. Why did my father have such horrible taste? She cried onto his bare tits.
What?
Her tears mixed with his nipple sweat. What? And together they dripped down his abs and into his jeans.
Oh my god.
I don't know, he answered. Another tear rolled down the tip of his nip.
This is so much nipple stuff.
Her present pain evaporated, but the hate for her father remained. She wants his corpse crushed by 3 p.m.
Wow. That is aggressive. That is both aggressive and worrisome.
Oh, yes.
But I do have to say, my husband would absolutely murder me if he ever listened to this podcast. But I'm going to say it anyways. I'm obsessed with his nipples. He has these perfect tiny nipples, and every time he's shirtless, I either play with it or bite it, and I tell him, they're my favorite part of you. And he's always like, you're such a fucking weirdo, Jerrica. And I'm like, yes, but I just love them so much. And then I know that he's like, he thinks that it's nice. Like, he's complimented by it.
Good. And then they're comforting to you, so your tears can mix with his nipple sweat.
But I have never in my life seen them sweat before. That is probably a medical issue that character is having.
So, lesson: don't ever let JF choose our books.
No, JF is not allowed to choose our books, and we should also not choose books half in the bag anymore.
Right. Lessons learned. Good. So next week we will talk about another book that you've chosen this time.
Yeah.
Well, not drunk, let's hope.
Yes.
So we will be talking about Only When It's Us by Chloe Lees. So until then, happy reading.
Happy reading. Bye.
Bye. We'd Rather Be Reading is an original podcast by Jerrica and Lia. The music for The Penguins, written and performed by David Allred from the album The Transition, courtesy of Erased Tapes. Please check him out on Spotify and check us out on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram at We'd Rather Be Reading and on Twitter at We'd Rather Read. You can also email us at we'dratherbereadingthepod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.